Most people go through life believing that the circumstances they are born into determine how far they can go. They think wealth belongs only to the fortunate few, while the rest must accept whatever scraps life offers. But that is the greatest tragedy of human thought, because the truth is this: the mind is the most powerful engine ever created, and what you plant in it will become the harvest of your life. Stop thinking poor, and you will discover that the riches of life are not only within reach, they're already waiting for you. The difference between poverty and wealth begins not in a bank account, not in opportunity, and not in luck, but in thought. The person who believes they are condemned to scarcity will unconsciously shape a life of scarcity. Their words, their habits, their expectations, all of it bends toward lack. But the person who believes in abundance, who chooses to see possibilities instead of limitations, begins to move toward riches. Their thoughts invite opportunity, and their actions follow. Now, wealth is not only measured in dollars or possessions. To live rich means to live with freedom, with purpose, with joy, and with the power to create. Money is a part of it, yes, but the richer life includes peace of mind, meaningful work, loving relationships, and the satisfaction of growth. A poor thinker can win the lottery and still lose it all because they never changed the patterns of their mind. But a rich thinker, even when starting with nothing, can build a fortune again and again. Each day, we stand at the crossroads of two choices: to think poor or to think rich. Thinking poor means repeating the excuses, blaming circumstances, and living by fear. Thinking rich means taking responsibility, seeking growth, and believing in one's own power. If you spend your days filling your mind with scarcity, then scarcity is exactly what you will find. But if you fill your mind with abundance, gratitude, and vision, the world begins to rearrange itself in your favor. The truth is, opportunity is everywhere. Wealth is everywhere, but we only see what we are prepared to see. To the poor thinker, the world is unfair and closed off. To the rich thinker, the same world is alive with chances to grow, to serve, to create, to prosper. Our task is simple: stop entertaining the thoughts of poverty and start training the mind to expect wealth in every sense of the word. Remember, you become what you think about. It has always been that way, and it will always be that way. If you want to stop living poor, you must first stop thinking poor. And if you want to start living rich, you must begin, right now, to think rich. Because the moment you change your thinking, you change your life. There is a curious fact about life that most never stop to examine. We are not shaped primarily by our environment, nor by our upbringing, nor even by the fortunes or misfortunes that happen to fall upon us. We are shaped by our thoughts. What you and I accept as true about ourselves and about the world we live in becomes the foundation upon which every action, every decision, and every result is built. Yet, tragically, most people never realize this. They believe life has handed them a fixed identity, a certain lot in life, as though fate had already drawn the lines of their destiny. And so they live within a prison of invisible bars built not of steel or stone, but of ideas. They think poor, and so they live poor. Now, it is not poverty of money that is the most dangerous. For poverty of money can be corrected, sometimes in a single moment, by opportunity or chance. But poverty of thought, that is the true prison. When a person believes deep down that they were meant for little, that they cannot rise beyond their current circumstances, that the future is nothing but a dull reflection of the past, then even if a fortune were to fall into their hands, it would soon slip away, for the mind would reject it. The outer life is always the reflection of the inner life. And so the one who thinks in terms of lack, in terms of limits, in terms of what cannot be done, must inevitably find themselves surrounded by lack, bound by limits, and stopped by barriers that are no more real than shadows. Consider this: every invention, every discovery, every business, every work of art, every success story you've ever admired, each began not with money nor with connections, but with an idea. Someone, somewhere, chose to think differently from those around them. Where others saw only problems, they saw possibilities. Where others said, "It cannot be done," they quietly whispered to themselves, "What if it can?" The seed of that thought grew into a vision. The vision became a plan, and the plan gave rise to action. And the world we live in today, with all its marvels, conveniences, and opportunities, is simply the accumulated result of people who dared to think rich instead of poor. Yet most people never pause to examine what kind of thoughts they are entertaining. They drift through life repeating the same old phrases they heard as children. Money doesn't grow on trees. Life is hard. Only the lucky ones make it. People like us can't get ahead. They carry these phrases around like heavy stones, never realizing that these beliefs, not the world itself, are what keep them tied down. They plant seeds of scarcity in the soil of their minds, and then wonder why their harvest is barren. But here lies the extraordinary truth. The soil of the mind does not discriminate. It will grow whatever is planted in it. Plant seeds of doubt, fear, and poverty, and those will flourish. Plant seeds of faith, creativity, and abundance, and those too will flourish. The responsibility then lies entirely with us. Each thought we allow to take root shapes the life we live tomorrow. Why, then, do so many insist on watering the weeds? Why do they replay the images of failure and limitation instead of cultivating the rich visions of success and freedom? It is because most people have never been taught the incredible power of their own thinking. They have been conditioned to believe they are at the mercy of circumstances, when in truth, circumstances are at the mercy of their thinking. A poor thinker placed in a rich environment will soon reduce it to poverty. A rich thinker placed in a poor environment will soon transform it into abundance. Think of the countless stories of individuals who began with nothing but a clear, determined mind. Some were born into poverty, some faced rejection, some lived in conditions most would call hopeless. And yet, they did not allow the poverty of their surroundings to infect their thoughts. They held within themselves a different image, an image of what could be. That image, nurtured daily, became a magnet that drew resources, people, and opportunities into their path. And slowly but surely, what was once only a thought became reality. This is the turning point for anyone who wishes to live rich instead of poor, the realization that poverty and wealth are not merely conditions of life, but conditions of mind. And the moment one awakens to this truth, the chains of limitation begin to fall away. From that moment on, life becomes a matter of choice, of direction, of deliberately planting the right seeds. The person who understands this will guard their thoughts as carefully as a farmer guards his fields, refusing to allow weeds of fear or doubt to take root, and instead cultivating a rich harvest of belief, vision, and action. So ask yourself, what are the dominant thoughts that occupy your mind? Do they reflect scarcity or abundance? Do they speak of limits or possibilities? Are you thinking poor, or are you thinking rich? For your answer will not only reveal the kind of life you are living now, but the life you are destined to live tomorrow. The great divide between poverty and wealth is invisible to the eye. It does not begin in the bank account, nor in the family one is born into, nor in the conditions of society. It begins in the private workshop of the mind. The thoughts a person entertains each day quietly shape their actions, their habits, and ultimately the direction of their life. When someone carries a conviction that they are destined to struggle, they unconsciously make decisions that confirm it. They spend as though money is scarce, they speak in terms of lack, they expect little, and they settle for less. They live out the reality of the ideas they hold. On the other hand, when a person fills their mind with the belief that abundance is possible, that opportunities are everywhere, and that they are capable of growth and achievement, they begin to walk an entirely different path. They speak with confidence, they search for possibilities, they act with intention, and they attract resources that align with their thinking. Most people never realize how much their thinking shapes their environment. They blame luck, chance, or the conditions of the world, not seeing that their own beliefs about money, success, and opportunity are quietly pulling the strings. The mind functions like a magnet. It does not pull in what you wish for casually, but what you truly expect. A person may dream of success, but if their dominant thought is doubt or fear, that is what they will invite into their lives. Likewise, one who expects growth and prosperity, even in the face of temporary hardship, will move in the direction of growth and prosperity. Their expectations guide their behavior, and their behavior determines the outcome. This explains why so many who inherit sudden wealth or win fortunes overnight lose it all within a few years. Their circumstances changed, but their thinking did not. They brought with them the habits, fears, and limitations of a poor mindset, and those very thoughts dismantled their new reality. It also explains why others, who may begin with nothing but determination, are able to build wealth again and again. For them, The conditions of the outer world matter less than the convictions of the inner one. Their thoughts are rich, and so their lives become rich. If you watch carefully, you can see this principle in motion every day. Observe two people working in the same office, with the same tools, the same opportunities, and the same resources. One views the job as a burden, something to endure. They complain they wait for payday, and they do the bare minimum. Their poor thinking leads to poor results, both in money and in satisfaction. The other approaches the same work with curiosity and energy, constantly searching for ways to improve, to contribute, to learn. They see opportunity in every challenge. Over time, their attitude sets them apart. They rise, they earn more, and they experience a sense of growth and richness that extends beyond a paycheck. The difference was never in the circumstances, but in the thinking. Poverty of thought is subtle, and it hides itself behind excuses. The economy is against me. People like me never get ahead. I wasn't born into the right family. I just don't have what it takes. Each of these statements is nothing more than a reflection of thought, repeated until it becomes accepted as truth. But the truth is not fixed. It is created. And the moment one changes the way they think, the moment they reject the idea that life is limited, they begin to carve a new reality. Wealth of thought works the same way. It begins with expectation. The person who decides, firmly and consistently, that they will live abundantly, will naturally act in harmony with that expectation. They will choose better associations. They will discipline their spending. They will invest in their growth, and they will cultivate habits that strengthen them. Their decisions become aligned with their belief, and those decisions compound until the results are visible for all to see. It is not magic. It is not luck. It is the natural law of the mind at work. Just as a field will yield a harvest according to the seeds planted, the mind yields a life according to the thoughts entertained. Plant seeds of poverty, reap poverty. Plant seeds of wealth, reap wealth. The law does not change. The soil of the mind is impartial. It will grow weeds as readily as it grows fruit. The choice of seed lies with us. Think, then, of the responsibility that carries. Each thought we allow to remain in our minds is a seed planted. Each belief we repeat, whether spoken or silent, is a signal to the life we are building. If we repeat daily that the world is hard, that opportunity is rare, and that success is reserved for others, then we cannot be surprised when our lives mirror those convictions. But if we repeat daily that opportunity surrounds us, that we are capable of achievement, that abundance is our rightful state, then our actions begin to reflect those ideas, and our reality changes to match them. The great difference between poverty and wealth begins not with money, but with thought. It begins with the decision to see possibility where others see limits, to expect growth where others expect decline, and to believe in abundance where others believe in scarcity. It is a private decision made in the mind, long before the results show themselves in the world. But once made, it sets into motion a chain of events that no force on earth can stop. Too often, when people hear the word rich, their minds immediately jump to money alone. They picture a large house, a fast car, or an overflowing bank account. And while those may be symbols of financial success, they do not capture the true essence of living richly. Wealth, in its truest form, is much larger, much deeper, and infinitely more valuable than numbers on a statement. To live rich is to live free, to wake each day with a sense of purpose, to know your time belongs to you, to enjoy the company of those you love, and to have the peace of mind that comes from inner security. Money may contribute to that life, but by itself, it is never enough. Look at those who have chased money at the expense of everything else. They may accumulate fortunes, but what do they gain if they trade away health, family, or peace of mind? That is not a rich life. It is a poor life disguised in expensive clothing. On the other hand, there are those who may not yet possess vast financial resources, but they are wealthy in their outlook. They are rich in gratitude, rich in spirit, rich in relationships, and rich in opportunities that constantly open before them. Their lives, though perhaps modest in appearance, overflow with joy, purpose, and growth. That is true richness. The difference once again lies in thought. A poor thinker sees money as the only goal. They pursue it blindly, hoping that once they have it, happiness will follow. But the rich thinker understands that money is only a tool to create freedom, to expand choices, to open doors, and to multiply the good they can do in the world. They do not see wealth as a finish line, but as a byproduct of growth. Their real focus is on becoming more and more disciplined, more capable, more valuable. And as they expand themselves, money naturally follows, as does every other form of richness life has to offer. Consider the case of someone who wins a large sum in a lottery. At first glance, you might say they are suddenly rich. But if their mindset is still poor, if they have never learned to manage, to grow, to create, or to value what they hold, then the money will vanish as quickly as it arrived. The outward condition of wealth was present, but the inward condition was absent. Compare that to the self-made individual who builds step by step, not only increasing their financial resources, but also strengthening their character, sharpening their skills, and widening their vision. If fortune were stripped from them tomorrow, they could build it again, for the richness is not in the possessions, but in the mind that created them. Living richly also means growth in areas beyond money. It is the ability to look at your work and see meaning in it, to know you are contributing something worthwhile. It is the freedom to use your time not only for survival, but for creation, learning, and love. It is the health of body and spirit, for without vitality, what good is wealth? It is the joy of relationships that enrich your days, reminding you that no success is complete if it is enjoyed alone. And above all, it is the peace of mind that comes from knowing you are the master of your own destiny, not a prisoner of fear or limitation. What many fail to grasp is that this kind of richness cannot be given, nor can it be stolen. It is built, cultivated like a garden, grown from the seeds of thought. The person who trains their mind to expect abundance will find it in every corner of life. They will see opportunities for growth in challenges, they will find gratitude in small moments, and they will use money wisely, not as a crutch, but as a lever to create even greater richness. A poor thinker could stumble upon a fortune and still be miserable, because they have not changed the lens through which they see life. They will always feel it is not enough, that someone else has more, that security is slipping away. The poor mindset starves, no matter how much food is set before it. But the rich thinker, even with little, feels the expansion of life itself. They see each day as fertile ground, each interaction as a chance to connect, each challenge as an opportunity to grow stronger. Their life is rich because their mind is rich. We must remember that richness is not a single event. It is a way of living, a state of being that begins with thought and flows outward into every part of life. To live richly is to rise each morning with a sense of possibility, to meet the world with confidence, and to walk through life knowing that every resource, every opportunity, every connection needed will come, because the mind is tuned to receive them. Money is a part of this, but only a part. The full richness of life includes joy, growth, freedom, and contribution, and these flow naturally to the one who thinks abundantly. Each morning when the eyes open and the day begins, a decision is quietly made. It is not announced, and most people are unaware they are making it, yet it governs the whole course of their lives. It is the decision to think poor or to think rich. This choice does not rest on the size of one's wallet, nor on the circumstances of the day, but on the direction of thought. Every single person, whether they realize it or not, wakes to this crossroads. One road leads to scarcity, the other to abundance. One road shrinks the possibilities of life, the other expands them. To think poor is to repeat the language of defeat. I can't, I won't, I never will. It is to greet challenges with fear and to meet opportunities with suspicion. It is to believe that the best days are behind us, that success is reserved for someone else, that effort is useless because the outcome is already fixed. Thinking poor creates a kind of paralysis. A person may have energy, talent, even resources, but their mind tells them it cannot be done, and so they never move. They drift, waiting for luck, blaming fate, clinging to excuses, and their life, unsurprisingly, mirrors their thoughts, limited, constrained, and filled with the shadows of what could have been. To think rich, however, is an entirely different way of meeting the world. It is to stand at the same crossroads, facing the same problems and the same uncertainties, but to choose belief over doubt. The rich thinker does not deny the existence of challenges, they simply refuse to bow before them. They ask different questions. Instead of saying, "Why me?" they ask, "Why not me?" Instead of saying, "This is impossible," they say, "How might it be done?" The rich thinker walks into each day expecting something of value to be found, some lesson to be learned, some door to be opened, And because expectation shapes perception, they see opportunities where others see only walls. The mind is like a compass, and it always points toward the dominant thoughts we hold. When the compass of thought is set toward poverty, it will guide us to choices that reinforce lack. We decline the new position because we don't believe we're ready. We avoid the investment because we fear loss more than we desire gain. We waste time in distraction because deep down we don't think our time matters. These choices seem small in the moment, but added together, they direct us toward a life of limitation. When the compass of thought is set toward wealth, the story is reversed. We accept new challenges because we believe growth is possible. We invest in ourselves because we trust that every skill gained multiplies future rewards. We protect our time because we know it is the soil of all achievement. And step by step, choice by choice, we find ourselves living a life that is rich. Not because fortune randomly smiled upon us, but because our thoughts guided us there. It is a common misconception that rich thinking only belongs to those who already have wealth. The truth is precisely the opposite. Rich thinking comes first. It precedes wealth, it produces it, and it sustains it. Without it, even the most fortunate inheritance will vanish. With it, even the most difficult beginnings can be transformed. History is filled with stories of individuals who started with nothing but an idea and a willingness to think differently. Their surroundings told them they were poor. Their past told them they were poor, but their thoughts told them they were rich in potential, rich in possibility, rich in imagination. And because they believed it, they lived it. Every day the choice is ours. We cannot control the weather, the market, or the actions of others, but we can control the thoughts we entertain and the beliefs we reinforce. This is where all power lies. By choosing to think rich, we condition ourselves to act rich, to work with diligence, to seek out growth, to treat each challenge as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. By choosing to think poor, we condition ourselves to shrink back, to wait, to surrender to fear. It may seem like a small thing, this decision made in the silence of the mind each morning. But over the weeks, the months, and the years, it is everything. A single poor thought repeated daily becomes a habit, and a habit becomes a destiny. A single rich thought repeated daily becomes a habit, and that habit also becomes a destiny. The difference between these two lives, one of scarcity, the other of abundance, was not luck or circumstance, but the daily choice of thought. The most powerful truth is that this choice can be remade at any time. No one is locked into poor thinking forever. The moment a person decides to stop repeating the old patterns, to stop giving energy to fear and limitation, and to begin filling their mind with the expectation of growth and abundance, they begin to change the entire course of their life. The results may not appear in a day, just as a seed does not bear fruit overnight. But with persistence, the harvest always comes. All around us, at every hour of every day, opportunity is present. It may not shout, it may not wave its arms for attention, but it is there, quietly waiting for the eyes that can see it. Yet most people pass by, blind to its presence, not because the opportunity does not exist, but because their minds are not prepared to recognize it. What the mind is trained to expect, it sees. What it is trained to ignore, it misses entirely. Consider how two individuals can walk through the same city, work in the same building, or live in the same neighborhood, yet experience entirely different lives. One complains that nothing ever changes, that opportunities are rare, that the world is unfair. The other, in the same environment, finds ways to grow, to improve, to create. The difference is not in the outer world, but in the inner lens through which they view it. The poor thinker sees obstacles, the rich thinker sees possibilities hidden within those same obstacles. This principle reveals itself in every area of life. In business, the poor thinker notices only the competition and the risks. They say, "It's too crowded. It's too difficult. Others will always be ahead," and so they do nothing. Meanwhile, the rich thinker studies the same market and asks, "Where is the unmet need? What new solution could be offered? How can I serve better than anyone else?" And from that question, an idea emerges, an idea that others dismissed or overlooked, an idea that grows into success. Both looked at the same environment, only one saw the opportunity, because only one had trained their mind to look for it. The same truth applies to personal growth. Some look at their lack of skills and say, "I cannot advance. I don't have the talent." They see deficiency and stop there. Others see the same lack and think, Here is a chance to learn, to strengthen, to improve. Where one mind sees a wall, the other sees a door waiting to be opened, and in time, the one who saw the door passes through it into a richer life, while the one who saw the wall remains standing still. Why is it that opportunity hides from so many? It is not hidden at all. It is simply filtered by belief. If you are convinced that life is limited, your mind will confirm it by ignoring every chance for growth. If you are convinced that abundance is possible, your mind will confirm it by drawing your attention to every chance for expansion. The world itself has not changed, only the filter through which it is seen. It is much like tuning a radio. The signals are always present in the air, but you only hear the one to which you have tuned your dial. History offers countless illustrations. Great fortunes have been built in times of recession, when most were convinced opportunity had vanished. Extraordinary inventions were created in times of struggle, when many thought progress had stopped. The individuals behind these achievements were not living in different worlds than their peers. They simply saw the opportunities that others could not see. Their thoughts were tuned differently. They expected to find a way forward, and so they did. The richness of life lies not in waiting for opportunity to appear, but in training the mind to recognize it when it does. This training begins with expectation. If you rise each morning believing that chances for growth surround you, you will notice them. You will overhear an idea in a conversation. You will see potential in a small problem. You will recognize value where others see none. If you rise each morning believing that nothing ever changes, your mind will confirm it by letting those same moments slip past unnoticed. The opportunities were there for both, but only one was prepared to see. It is important to understand that opportunity rarely arrives fully formed. It often comes disguised as work, as challenge, even as inconvenience. To the untrained eye, it looks like trouble. To the prepared mind, it is the very material from which success is shaped. A setback in business is a chance to innovate. A rejection in life is a chance to improve. A difficulty in finances is a chance to learn discipline and creativity. The event itself is neutral. The meaning is given by the mind that interprets it. To think rich, then, is to approach life with the conviction that abundance is present, even when appearances suggest otherwise. It is to remind oneself that every challenge carries within it the seed of opportunity, and that the task is not to complain about the challenge but to find and cultivate the seed. This mindset does not deny reality, it transforms it, for the world reveals itself according to the pattern of thought we bring to it. And so, opportunity is not rare, nor is it reserved for the few. It is abundant. It is everywhere. It is woven into the very fabric of life. The only question is whether our thoughts prepare us to see it. The central truth of life is both profound and simple. You become what you think about. Your mind is the architect, and your daily thoughts are the blueprints from which your entire future is built. Whatever occupies your mental space, whatever you allow to dominate your imagination, slowly but surely takes shape in your actions, habits, and results. This law operates quietly whether we are aware of it or not. It works as faithfully as gravity itself, and like gravity, it is impartial. It does not favor one person over another. It simply gives back to each of us exactly what we put into it. When a person constantly thinks of failure, of struggle, of disappointment, they are not merely reflecting reality. They are creating it. They begin to act in ways that bring about the very things they fear. Their posture, their voice, their decisions all carry the weight of their expectations. If they believe they will not succeed, they will avoid risk, neglect opportunity, and sabotage their progress. The prophecy fulfills itself. On the other hand, when someone fills their mind with images of success, growth, and abundance, they too act in harmony with their thoughts. Their decisions lean toward progress, their actions are charged with energy, and their persistence deepens because they already believe in the outcome. And so, they draw to themselves the very success they envisioned. This principle explains why two individuals, given the same circumstances, can create such different lives. One accepts the role of victim, repeating thoughts of helplessness. The other embraces the role of creator, repeating thoughts of possibility. Both live under the same sky, but they do not live in the same world. For their worlds are shaped not by what surrounds them, but by what is within them. To change your life, then, you must begin not with your environment, but with your thoughts. Change your thinking, and in time, your circumstances must change to match it. At first, this may feel unnatural. The mind that has been trained for years to think in terms of limits and scarcity will resist new patterns of abundance and growth. But just as the body strengthens through repeated exercise, the mind reshapes itself through repeated thought. Each time you choose a thought of possibility over a thought of defeat, you are strengthening the muscle of rich thinking. And over time, it becomes your natural response. Imagine a person planting seeds in a garden. If they scatter weeds, they cannot expect roses. If they scatter thorns, they cannot expect fruit. The soil will grow whatever is planted without preference. And so it is with the mind. Every thought is a seed. Each day we scatter hundreds of them, thoughts of fear, or thoughts of courage, thoughts of lack, or thoughts of abundance, thoughts of bitterness, or thoughts of gratitude. The harvest of tomorrow is simply the collection of seeds we planted today. To change the harvest, one must change the seed. This law carries with it both a warning and a promise. The warning is that you cannot afford to let destructive thoughts dominate your mind, for they will manifest in destructive results. Harbor resentment, and you will find yourself surrounded by conflict. Harbor doubt, and you will miss every opportunity. Harbor fear, and you will live in paralysis. But the promise is far greater. Choose thoughts of strength, and you will find yourself becoming stronger. Choose thoughts of confidence, and you will grow in courage. Choose thoughts of abundance, and opportunities will begin to appear where once you saw only emptiness. What you think about, you become. If you think about the person you wish to be, healthy, confident, prosperous, you set into motion the chain of actions that make that picture real. If you dwell on the person you fear you are, weak, unlucky, destined for failure, you will act in ways that confirm that picture. The choice of thought is the choice of destiny. The transformation begins in a single moment, the moment you decide to take control of what occupies your mind. From that instant on, you are no longer a prisoner of old habits and old fears. You are the author of your future. You may not yet see the results, just as the farmer does not see the harvest the day after planting. But the law guarantees it persists in new thinking, and new results must appear. A life of richness, in every sense of the word, begins the moment you align your thoughts with abundance. That is the key. You need not wait for permission, for luck, or for circumstances to change. The mind is the starting point. Change it, and you change everything. The truth is, life bends to the shape of our thinking. Every achievement, every failure, every joy, and every sorrow begins as a seed within the mind. If we continue to think poor, to dwell on lack, to repeat the same tired beliefs of limitation, then no matter how much effort we exert, we will remain bound to the same results. But if we dare to think rich, to cultivate thoughts of abundance, courage, and possibility, then gradually but inevitably, life will rise to meet that vision. The difference between mediocrity and greatness is not chance, it is not luck, it is not even talent. It is thought. We each stand at the threshold of two futures, one built from fear, scarcity, and resignation, and the other built from faith, growth, and abundance. No one else chooses for us. No circumstance dictates which path we walk. The choice is entirely ours, renewed every morning, reinforced with every thought we allow to take root. To stop thinking poor and start living rich is not simply about money, though wealth often follows. It is about richness of spirit, richness of character, richness of purpose. It is about waking each day with gratitude, moving with confidence, and shaping the world rather than being shaped by it. So today, let the old patterns of poor thinking end. Plant new seeds of greatness, water them daily with belief and persistence, and watch as they grow into a harvest of abundance. The life you dream of, the success you seek, the richness you long for, all stand waiting on the other side of your thoughts. Begin now, think richly, live richly, and the world will respond in kind.